Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's One Piece Treasure Cruise video we are going to talk about the upcoming batch because today they got revealed. We have a new Super Tandem Superclass Law and a new Super Tandem Superclass Kid along with two new rare recruits in a Sugo Fest that will actually debut very shortly and will be essentially the 8th anniversary Afterparty Sugo Fest. Of course, this is not part of the Anniversary Sugo, it is a new debut Sugo with two new legends. I still haven't read what they do, so this will be my first reaction to everything, to the Sugo Fest steps, both Law and Kid and the rare recruits. So without further ado, let's talk about the characters, analyze them and see if they are really worth to pull for. First things first though, let's check out the Sugo Fest and the general structure and stuff. We can see three parts. Part 1, I'm guessing both will be available, then each one on their own in their respective parts. Sugo Fest is a 2-time legend rate Sugo Fest, 10% chance, so nothing crazy. I am guessing it will be an absolutely garbage Sugo Fest, but let's check out the structure. We can see that we have 30 legends available in part 1 and 20 in parts 2 and 3. Here we see the colors of the new Super Sugos and their new rare recruits, of course, Q and Int. I am super happy that this law is Q. Before we check what they do, let's see the steps, because I know they will be bad. Here we can also see the dates for each specific part. One day after the other the parts will be coming out. And here we see no discounted step, surprising. Sugo Fest exclusive or rate boosted character in tons of steps, this is part 1. Guaranteed legend in 4 steps. Limited pool legend in step 8. Then super limited pool in 4 steps, but 20 and 25, even 15 actually is very deep for a 10% legend rate Sugo Fest. And then we have for parts 2 and 3, again, tons of Sugo Fest or rate boosted character steps, which are horrible. Then guaranteed legends in like 6 steps, limited pool in steps 10 and 20, and then of course multi 30 guarantees the new legend. Law for part 2, Kid for part number 3. These steps are horrible. They are pretty much the standard debut legend that will also be accompanied by a point event steps. Let's quickly take a look at the pools as well. These are the 30 legends available in part 1, V3 Marco and V3 Big Mom also available, which is good. No anniversary legend, of course. This is not a Super Sugo Fest, so pay very close attention. Even though it is technically an after party, no Super Sugo legend is available. Then for the limited pool, we cut it down to 15 legends. And then for the super limited pool, we have 8. For part 1, I guess the pools are okay, but it will always depend on what you miss, what you have, what you want to get, and on if the rates are the same for the new Super Tandem characters and for the rest of the available legends. Then for part 2, this is Law's part, we only have V3 Marco. So many similar legends with part 1, but also some new ones, like Summer Vivi. And then the limited pool is 10 units, not 8. We do not have a super limited pool, so technically the limited pool is better with not 15, but 10, which is I guess acceptable, but going until step 10 is not the best. And for part 3 with Kid, we see V3 Big Mom with him, and also General Frankie and Vitwoden. And then we move on to the limited pool for Kid, which of course has to have V3 Blackbeard in it. Poor soul that will actually pull V3 Blackbeard from this limited pool. And then we see the rate boosted rare recruits. Some very decent ones, we do see the new ones, and then Perospero Pudding. This Robin was in the anniversary, I don't know why Sanji is not in her place, but whatever. We see Caesar, Kawamatsu, Black Maria, very decent, and even Kamazo and Luffy in the end. They are both pretty decent rare recruits, especially Luffy. I guess the pools are okay, but again, it depends on what you are missing. Now let's actually scroll back up and talk about the new characters. I will begin with Law. And he is a Super Tandem Superclass unit. He is Q and he is a super cerebral unit like V2 Crocodile. Pretty cool. So let's begin with his captain ability. he boosts Cerebral and Free Spirit characters' attack by 5.25 times and HP by 1.2, very nice. Makes their TND slots have matching slot effects, okay. Reduces damage taken by 10% and reduces crew's paralysis duration by 10 turns. Some utility, so awesome so far. When tapping on this character with a Q, TND or Wayno slot, he sets all enemies' defense to 0. So even more stuff this law can provide just from the captain ability. I have to say I like it. It's not anything crazy, but we do get the utility, we do get the matching slots, and we do get something unique as well, so definitely a good captain ability for Law. His special is a pretty lengthy one, so he reduces crew's special charge time by 1 turn, he boosts Cerebral and Free Spirit characters' chain multiplier growth rate of normal attacks up to 0.6. Okay, so depending on your hit, if it is a good, a great or a perfect, he gives you more of a boost. This is a unique boost, by the way. This is the boost, I think, of the Sanji Judge swap. It is not a chain boost, it is not chain boundaries, and also it is not a chain lock. On top of that, for 1 turn, he boosts attack for Cerebral and Free Spirit by 2.75 times, a very high attack boost, and heals crew by 50 times character's RCV, up to 2 times max HP, ignoring max HP limit, so he has overheal, awesome. And if your crew has an attack boost already, instead he will give you a NOR boost for 2.5 times for 2 turns. So you get a 2 turn NOR boost, but not for 2.75 times, for 2.5 times. I have to say, a very good special for Law, mainly with the unique part with the chain growth multiplier and then giving you a boost, because utility wise we do not see much, but it is very awesome that he allows overheal. More and more units seem to do that lately, which is nice. And then the special charge is nothing special. Both of his boosts though, and especially for 2 great classes in the game, Cerebral and Free Spirit, are great. Now let's also check out his super class to fully evaluate the law. When any of the following characters are on the crew: Bepo, Sachi, Penguin, Jen Bart, Monkey D. Luffy, or when the crew has an attack boost. Pretty easy requirement to fulfill. And his special changes character slot, including block, to TND, and boosts the damage dealt to defense down enemies by 2.25 times for 3 turns. Okay, that is actually awesome. And here we get the connection with his captain ability, which if we revisit again, we see that when you tap Law, he sets all enemies' defense to 0. This does not state that it goes through full immunity though, so the enemy needs to not have defense down immunity in order for you to achieve that. Except if we see something in the Super Tandem mechanic. At level 5, when one Cerebral or Free Spirit characters and any one of the following ones are on the crew. So we have Bepo, Sachi Penguin, Jen Bart, Monkey D. Luffy, and Corazon. His effect is that he applies an attack boost, a tandem one, of 2 times to Cerebral and Free Spirit units and makes their type slots having matching slot effects. Nothing about going through immunity here, but at level 1 the same Super Tandem, because of course not everyone will max out this limit break ability. It applies an attack boost again, but for less, 1.25 times, not 2 times. And we only get Q slots matching, not all of the type slots. The Super Tandem is not anything absolutely crazy, definitely helpful as a mechanic in the game though. With Kaido, who applies increased damage taken, it states that it goes through immunity. With this law, even if you have the correct slot, it does not go through immunity, so that is a big drawback for Law, because if the enemy has full immunity, he loses a big part of his identity, from the captain ability, from the super class as well. It is nice that the super class ability gives him the guaranteed TND slot, which of course he makes matching, but if we think about it, if the enemy has full immunity, that is the only thing the super class can provide. Another cool thing with Law though, is that you can use his superclass and get the TND slot and also the conditional attack boost in a boss that is not the main one of the quest. So in stages 3 or 4 in an arena, for example, that the boss does not always have full immunity, Law can be extremely helpful with his superclass ability, and then you can have the stats boosted by the superclass. You are not even going to activate his special because you only need the superclass and then his captain ability to proc the defense down and the conditional attack boost, and then in the final stage you are going to get the very nice boosts he provides with his special. So even though he loses a big part of his kit, he is not becoming useless all of a sudden just because full immunity is present. Another pretty big drawback that comes to mind, he will be pretty dependent on Luffy units and the new Hard Pirates rare recruit. Because Bepo, Corazon, the rest of his crew, they don't really have many great units in the game to be used alongside him, so especially at level 1 it will be pretty hard for you to get his super tandem working all of the time when you use him. Overall, this Law is a good unit. I do not think it is a must-have unit, but he can provide very strong boosts. I like the overhealing, I do like the growth for the chain, and I also do like that he removes 10 turns of paralysis, because every time we see utility in captain abilities, in my opinion at least, it is always a plus. Let's see what his designated rare recruit does, because of course we get a Bepo unit here who is also cube, and for classes he's free spirit, cerebral, and has double special activation, as we can see, which is pretty nice. His captain ability doesn't matter, let's dive into the special. He changes all slots including block to TND, great. If captain is free spirit or cerebral, he boosts the chain multiplier by +1, a very good chain boost. And if the crew has a chain multiplier boost when the special is launched, so even when you activate his special for the second time, he reduces crew's despair special bind by 3 turns. But he reduces them by 2 otherwise, meaning if you do not have a chain boost. So in total, he can remove 5 turns of despair and special bind if you have his double special activation ready to go, because he will remove 2 turns for the first activation, and after that he will give you a chain boost and he will remove 3 extra for both debuffs. Pretty interesting mechanic, I like it. I like that he makes every slot TND, because we definitely need more of these units now that we are getting super tandem units. His sailors though will be very important. I better see, okay, 5 turns of special bind removal, and tapping on this character with a TND slot will increase your attack boost by 0.2. I was expecting TND matching, but this is also nice because he can further boost Law's already amazing attack boost and almost reach it to a 3 times attack boost for free spirit and cerebral, but still 3 times is 3 times. For his support, he can be attached to Luffy, Law, Dogstorm and Cat Viper, so he already has potential, and then Sachi and Penguin, and at level 5, once per quest, if supported character uses a special, he changes the supported character's slot to TND and makes crew's TND slots have matching slot effects for 1 turn. So even as a support, he can be very helpful to super tandem teams. I like his support, it is something unique with the TND slots, not something incredible of course, but with the super tandem mechanic becoming more common now in One Piece treasure cruise, I guess it is good to have. Overall, for this Bepo, I have to say he is a solid rare recruit if you have his double special activation maxed out. If you do not, he's not that great. Because if you don't, you will get a full board of TND slots, even through block slots, which is good, but if you do not have another unit or a captain that makes them matching, Bepo doesn't make them matching himself, so maybe you're better off using another unit to remove block slots. And then he also has a specific requirement for your captain to give you a chain boost, so he does not even guarantee you a chain boost all the time. For me, removing debuffs is a big deal, because obviously 2 turns of despair and special bind won't be helpful in majority of cases, So you need his double special activation for him to be a solid rare recruit in my opinion. If you do not have it, you are not going to use him a lot, or you are mainly going to use him with Super Tandem Law. And even then, his debuff utility won't be anything special. Let's proceed to the Kid side of things. Kid is a superclass driven character, and he is also driven striker while being int, and his captain ability reduces driven and striker character special charge by 3 turns. Okay, so he's probably going to be a fast captain or something. Boosts their attack by 5.25 times and HP by 1.65 times. This might be the highest HP boost we have seen in a captain ability. He makes their int, Q and TND slots have matching slot effects, and cuts crew's HP by 10% at the end of the turn. Okay, interesting, so that is why he boosts your HP more, because he reduces your own HP. I am definitely intrigued to see the special now, which reads: reduces all enemies' HP by 20%, ignoring all defensive effects, but not now, so it's not that important. He boosts driven and striker characters' chain multiplier growth rate of normal attacks up to plus 0.6, so the same thing with Law, and then he boosts their attack by 2.75 times, goes for driven and striker, and he changes their type slots and block slots to TND. He prevents their slots from being changed until driven and striker characters land a perfect strike. And if your crew has an attack boost already when the special is launched, he boosts the slot effects for driven and striker instead for 2.5 times for 2 turns. So he has a very similar special with Law, because he can give you the boost to the chain growth, and then he can give you the attack boost, and if you have one, he gives you an ore boost. But a very unique thing, he can perfect lock your slots. That is actually great. That means that you can get matching slots and retain them if you do not hit perfect hits for pretty much the entirety of the quest. That can be extremely strong if it is used right, and I am not certain it is possible with this kid. It might very well be, we're not even done with him, but especially with him being a super tandem unit and making your slots TND, this can be extremely good. So definitely let's proceed to his super class now. For requirements, he needs killer, hit, wire, or when crew's HP is 50% or below. I am not a fan of the HP requirements, but he does cut our HP by 10% by the end of each turn, and if you have him as double captain, you have 2 HP cuts, so I guess not the worst thing. For his special, he deals 100 times character's attack in non-type damage, ignoring all defensive effects, to all enemies. He reduces driven and striker characters' special charge by 1. He adds 0.25 to the effect of the attack boost that are launched after this special by driven or striker characters for 1 turn. So he can make his attack boost a 3 times attack boost, and then he changes everyone to a super driven character. Definitely a decent superclass, mainly for the extra boost of the attack boost. If it is not his own, it needs to be by a driven or striker unit, which of course won't be the worst thing with this kid, especially if we consider that he is based around driven and striker units anyway. Decent superclass, nothing crazy. Let's see his super tandem though, that is a very important part with his perfect lock. When one driven or striker character and any one of the following characters are on the crew, Killer, Hit, Wire and Luffy, thankfully he also has Luffy, he applies an attack boost of 2 times to driven and striker characters and sets all enemies' defense to 0. So he can also be combined with Law, but again, this does not go through immunity. At level 1 though, when 2 driven characters and any one of the following characters are on the crew, Killer, Hit, Wire and Luffy again, he does pretty much the same thing, but it is a lower attack boost and he halves the defense, he does not reduce it by 100%. Actually, I think I made a mistake with Law. Okay, the 1 cerebral or free spirit for low at level 5, and then when 2 cerebrals and any one of the following characters are on the crew. So he's not going to be as dependent on Luffy as I thought, but he can still be sometimes because the hard pirates do not have great rare recruits or units. And then with Kid the thing is that he cannot be that dependent on Luffy because Luffy does not have a lot of Driven and Striker units in the game anyway. With Law it is easier because Luffy can also be a free spirit unit. Here, Striker and Driven Luffys are not that common. I do not even think there is a Driven Luffy in the game. I am not too excited with his Super Tandem. I do not think by any stretch of the imagination he makes the perfect lock of the slots broken. And to be honest, I am not that excited overall about Kid either. At the start I thought that the HP reduction in his captain ability might play a role bigger than a superclass requirement. It doesn't. The perfect lock can definitely be very nice to have, but if we consider that he can actually manipulate block slots himself, yes, you can perfect lock and keep slots through stages, so you can evade the manipulation of block slots or even poison slots or another type of annoying slot. But how often are you going to need to do that in a Driven Striker team? That's what I don't know. It seems a pretty nice mechanic to have on this Kid. It is definitely welcome and I would like to see it in more units, but I don't think that this mechanic specifically makes Kid a must-have unit. Let's also check out the designated rare recruit for Kid though, Hit and Wire. Of course, their special is what matters. They have 2 stages. In stage 2, they reduce Cruise Bind and Special Bind and also decrease Chain multiplier growth rate by 5 turns. And if the captain is Driven or Striker, they double damage dealt to defense down enemies for 2 turns and make it easier to land perfect strikes for 3 turns. Okay, that is not that great. What about their crewmate abilities? They reduce Special Bind by 6 turns, nice, and tapping on this character with the TNT slot will apply a minus 10% Driven and Striker resistance. Okay, let's also check the support on Killer and Kid, and at level 5 once per quest, if inflicted with Special Bind from the enemy, reduces supported characters' Special Bind only by 3 turns. Yes, this can be good, but only on the supported character, will not be used that often, especially on Kid and Killer. I have to say they're not great. They're not bad, because yes, they still can provide decent utility, but giving you a conditional attack boost, while Kid is not a unit that can actually bypass immunity or even give defense down outside of the Super Tandem mechanic, which again does not go through immunity, it's not the best combination. I don't think it's great. It would be better for them to give you color affinity than give you a conditional attack boost for defense down, I think. And then they remove Bind and Chain coefficient reduction, which is not the best combination. Special Bind is always great to see though, but again, I don't think this rare recruit is incredible. For my overall thoughts about the new bats, I think that the new rare recruits are okay. Nothing super good, nothing bad either, but Bepo with his double special activation active is definitely a great unit. For the legends, Law or Kid, I think as an early assessment I have to say Law is a bit better because I think he provides more in his captain ability. He does make TND matching, he does give defense down, even though it does not go through immunity, it is still an option you have to use in other stages other than the final one. And he also removes 10 turns of paralysis while reducing damage. He has great multipliers and so does Kid, but Kid gives you an HP cut on your own HP bar, and he also reduces the special cooldown reduction by 3 turns, which, because he is not a fast captain, he does not have end of turn damage or something, is not as impactful as Law's utility can be, in my opinion. Something that Kid definitely has over Law though, he provides 3 different slots as matching, while Law only makes TND matching. Their specials are pretty similar. We get Overheal, we get the Perfect Lock, and then the attack boost and Ore boost with a bit of extra utility over that, Both specials I think can be great, especially if you are searching for high boosting in your damage. And that is pretty much everything I had to say about the new bats and the new Super Tandem characters. Are they worth to pull for? Probably not so much because the Sugo Fest is horrible and they are not Super Sugo Fest units. But again, if you like the characters and you miss lots of units from their pulls, you can definitely still try your luck. Tell me your opinion in the comments below though. What legend of the two you think is better and how good you generally think they are. I am interested to see what you're going to say. If you enjoyed the video, definitely leave a like and subscribe for more OPTC content. Thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.